Hey guys, welcome to LA Love Creative, and today we are talking about how to take professional photos with your iPhone and also comparing it to a professional DSLR camera. Cue the intro. So I know a lot of you people watching right now are trying to get in photography and don't know the right step to take. Should I invest a lot of money into a $2,000, $3,000 camera and all these type of courses and go to school and all that, or should I just give up? Giving up is always a good option too. Don't be afraid to give up. But in all honesty, your best bet when you're trying to get into photography is to use the camera that's always on you, your smartphone. And in this case, my phone is the iPhone X. So the question is, can you really get high quality professional photos with your iPhone? Yes, of course, we all see those billboards on Hollywood or on big buildings where it's like shot on the iPhone, and you're like, yeah, shot on the iPhone, okay, yeah. Shot on the iPhone in $1 million photography session. Come on now. Regardless, with the right lighting and a few tips, you can get a good performance from your smartphone in a professional shoot, and today I'm gonna talk about some tips on how to do that. Now, I recently had a shoot with a model from the agency I'm working with, and I decided to spice things up by shooting with my DSLR, my Sony A7 III, and then also shooting with my iPhone. Yes, it's kind of a cheating comparison because the iPhone X actually has a really, really good camera, but at the same time, I thought it was a pretty good comparison because a lot of people I see have the iPhone X, obviously, and I think a lot of new photographers are really hung up on the latest camera when they can really just be using their phone just to get a good basic idea of photography. One of the first tips that I would give a beginning photographer is if you're going to use your iPhone or your smartphone, make sure your phone is shooting at its highest quality possible. So with the iPhone X, there is a setting. I'm gonna go through it. So freaking hard to find stuff on here. You want to make sure that you have most compatible checked because it will give you a higher quality image. What phone is normally trying to do is trying to make sure that you're not just overloading your phone and running out of space when you're taking photos. Another thing you want to make sure you click when you're on here is the Smart HDR inside the High Dynamic Range button. The High Dynamic Range function will really do a better job at exposing and making sure that you're not blowing out highlights and stuff like that. And one of the biggest things I will give you when it comes to shooting with your iPhone is you need to feed it light. The iPhone is a small camera, so it has a very small sensor. So at the end of the day, low light, this is not a low light camera by any means, but the iPhone is not really good at low to even mid-low light when it comes to photography. But knowing that, you can use that to your advantage. So when it comes to photography, it all is about lighting. So if you can actually feed the iPhone a lot of light, you would be really surprised by the image it can actually produce. A lot of the images I shot side by side with the right lighting situations, it was really hard for the average person to actually guess what was the iPhone and what was the Sony DSLR. But on the flip side, one of the things you're gonna always have to remember is that detail on the iPhone and detail on a professional camera are gonna be significantly different. If you zoom into an iPhone image, it's gonna break apart. A lot of detail is not there. But from face value, if you're trying to get into photography, the iPhone will make a really good image if you give it enough light. My biggest tip when it comes to the iPhone versus like a professional DSLR camera is an iPhone can really help you practice important photography techniques. Composition and lighting. Those two things alone, the iPhone will really get you good at. If you're starting out and you're not trying to invest a lot of money into a DSLR just right now, I think the biggest takeaway when it comes to shooting with the iPhone is that you can practice the basics, and when it comes to switching over to a professional camera, you will have those basics down and you will really be able to shine as a professional photographer or just as a person trying to get into photography. What I really like about the iPhone is it has Smart HDR, which gives the iPhone the impression of more dynamic range. So when you shoot with a DSLR, there is a limit to how much you can push and pull the image in post. And there's obviously, you can post-production, you can mess around and bracket exposures, you can do certain things, but there's a limit on how you can actually expose the image. With the iPhone or a smartphone in general, you're basically gonna have a smart camera that can analyze the image, expose correctly, make sure that the clouds are in the sky, make sure that everything is actually not overexposed, and make sure that everything is kind of balanced. And it does it all inside the camera without having you have to do anything. And I think that is a really good tool for a beginning photographer. That way they can just focus on composition and lighting and not have to worry about camera settings and stuff like that. So I know a lot of beginners are trying to get into photography, and using an iPhone is really beneficial for them, but also for people that are professionals. I think it's really fun to actually have some type of limitation set on you as a photographer. I think if you scale down your production as a photographer and have limitations, it kind of forces you to be even more creative, and it forces you to use those limitations to your advantage. And I think this is a great exercise for intermediate or professional photographers. So shooting with your iPhone or smartphone is a great trick. I think everyone should try it at least once for a photo shoot. I think you'll have an awesome time doing it. So that's all I have to say today about shooting with the iPhone and some tips on how to do so. If you have any questions regarding videography or photography, hit me up in the comments below, and I will see you next time. See you later.